And next up at UFC Fight Night, Duncan taking on Moicano. We've got Robert Ruchała taking on José Delano. Carlos, who you got in this one?
In this one, I like Delano to get this one done. I think Delano's the heavier striker. I think he mixes head, body, head very good. Goes to the body, attacks his opponent's cardio. He's a very good counter striker. He's very patient. He finds the openings, pressures with his feet, not really with volume. So as he closes the distance, it's kind of forcing his opponents to throw or shoot, and that's where he's starting to make his reads. So against somebody like Ruchała, who's kind of just waiting to he's just kind of waiting to throw one or two strikes and then shoot, look for a takedown or something like that. I think Delano's going to force him to make a lot of mistakes so he could see it coming earlier. But Delano's, I think he's a very heavy favorite, if I'm not mistaken, in this fight, and I don't understand why, because Ruchała is one of those guys where he can pressure you enough and make it an uglier fight enough just to keep Delano on his back feet sometime. And it's not the fact that he's that good and that he's going to hurt him and that he's going to get the submission. I just think that Ruchała makes you have to work. He makes you have to look for different angles. He makes you have to fight. And I just think him being that big of an underdog is probably not a good not a good idea, because I'm like, he can be busy enough to possibly squeak out a position. But what I like about a decision, but what I like about Delano is the fact that he's very measured in everything that he does. He doesn't pretty much load up on anything. He's going to throw the shots that are there, that are open. He's going to make openings with that. And his pressure is pretty much what makes the openings. I like the fact that he's very calm in the ring. He's very relaxed, and he makes very good decisions, very good fight IQ. So I'm going to take Delano to get it done. I just feel that Ruchała leaves a lot of openings when he, not that he gets frustrated, but it looks like sometimes he doesn't know how to get inside, so he just rushes inside. And against somebody like Delano, that's just asking for trouble. So Delano to get it done.
Yeah, two for Delano here. I got to say, I don't agree with this 4-1 price tag here on a 4-1 favorite in Delano. UFC debut, we've seen that kind of be, derailed at times and something you got to be careful of. But his fight over on Contender Series against Exposito, I thought he looked good. He looked like a guy that, is ready for the UFC. As Carlos mentioned, he stalks with the feet. He's got good footwork to be able to set up his strikes. He's got power in the hands. And even though he is kind of, just touching, it's not necessarily that he steps in and puts all of his weight behind his shots, but he carries a lot of power even when he is doing that. And I think Robert Ruchała is a guy, he wants to get to the grappling. And that's kind of where I have my discrepancy in this 4-1 favorite in this matchup is I think on the feet, Delano is going to have all the advantages. He's going to be the one pressing forward. He's going to be the one doing the more damage on the feet. Robert Ruchała, he has kickboxing, he can strike, but it's not where his bread is buttered. And I think with Ruchała, he wants to look to get this fight to the ground. And he was able to, have moments against William Gomez over there in France in that decision that he lost, where he was able to get the fight to the ground. And I think with Delano, you go back and look at that Contender Series performance, there was a moment where Exposito was able to, kind of get into a guillotine position. And I think if Robert Ruchała gets that opportunity in the grappling, he might be able to capitalize there and he might be able to find the submission. But I'm going to say Delano gets this one done. I think he's going to be the one, pressing forward, ripping to the body, landing the bigger shots in the small cage here in the apex. But I think a 4-1 favorite's kind of crazy. I think if this one plays out on the feet, it's going to be all Delano. I think if Ruchała is able to get some takedowns, get some top pressure, look for the submission, he might be able to pull off the upset, maybe him by submission. If the odds are crazy, we might be able to sprinkle that for our betting video. But ultimately, I'm going to go with Delano here. I think that the striking is going to be too much for Ruchała, and ultimately, I think he's going to be able to have success in his UFC debut. But 4-1 favorite, I think not. Maybe like minus 300, minus 270. I'd feel that. But I think Robert Ruchała, his grappling might surprise some people. But give me Delano here to get it done with the striking.